Hey everyone, it's Mark again, and this is a video going over the IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. And this one is based on the type of task where you get two, sometimes three maps, and it's usually all the same location with some minor and major changes made to them. Now, in some ways, these are a little bit easier, but you have to be very careful because you don't want to miss any key points. This is all to help you guys get a 7 or an 8. So again, it requires careful analysis of the task and then proper execution. Now, let's take a look here. We've got our two maps. Now, in this case, we've got the village of Stokeford in 1930. That's this one here. And 2010 over here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that, yes, this is 2010. Now, that is important if it's 2010 or if it's the current year. If it said 2016 when this video is being made, it's going to have an effect on how you write some of your data. But it's 2010, that's in the past, that is all we need to know. So we have to summarize the information by selecting and reporting main features and making comparisons. So the main thing you're doing here is you're comparing. So you're going to look here at 1930 and look at 2010 and look at the differences in the two. That's the main thing. You're not just describing this and then describing this. The approach is probably to look at the 2010 map and note how it's changed from the 1930 map. So take about 5 minutes. I want you to take a look here. Remember, you're not looking at data, but you're looking at any main difference. Now, a hint. Usually there is some large difference. Usually it deals with an increase in numbers, an increase in people. So if you're looking at, say, a school in 2 different years and the school's gotten bigger, it's usually because there's going to be more students. So the school has increased its size to deal with the increased number of students. So just take 5 minutes, get out a piece of paper. If you're serious about this, you want to practice, write down a few notes. What are the main differences that you see? And I'll talk to you again in 5 minutes. All right, welcome back. So let's take a look at some of the things you might have noticed. Now, in this case, you're not looking at an overall trend difference in numbers, but what you're looking at is the fundamental change. Now, you've probably noticed here in 1930, you've got lots of farmland. You've got these cows here. So you had some agriculture happening in 1930. And if you look at 2010, that's gone. You've probably also noticed, yes, there are now more houses and some of the buildings have gotten bigger. Now, in general, when you deal with maps, that's very often what you need to notice is the increase in people or change in land use. It was one way, but now it is different. So in this case, the land is now more residential, so there's more people living there, and it's not arable land anymore. So the agricultural uses have decreased in this case. So in this case, arable means farmland for animals in this case. So that's the first thing. Now, how do you organize your ideas? How do you organize your paragraphs? What I've done here is I've broken it into 3 parts. You've got this north part here with the north part here where you have farmland here and then 2 roads here. Then you've got more in the central area where you've got the school and finally the south where you've got this large house and gardens, which later becomes a retirement home. So think of it that way. To the south, you've got new roads and houses. That's the main difference between 2010 and 1930. In the center, you've got a bigger school and new houses in the west. So you've got this, the post office is still there. And then finally, you've got the retirement home. You've got the retirement home, which has been constructed out of the large house. Also, the garden area has decreased notably, and again, lots more houses. So in this case, it works quite well. You can kind of go south, center, or sorry, north, center, and south of the map. So let's take a look at what that might look like in an essay. So you start, of course, with your summary sentence. Again, you want to get this sentence done quickly. You'll say the two maps show changes in Stokeford Village between these two times. Get that done quickly. It should take you 10-20 seconds to write that. Then your overall. So over the time period, Stokeford became increasingly populated. So again, there are more people. And then support it by pointing out what it used to be, making that comparison. Clearly moving away from being a farming community. So again, you can say that in many ways. It used to be a farming area and now there are more people, or it's shown an increase in population. Adding this extra part really makes a clear difference. So, that's why you want to take that time and really think about the changes. It used to be one way and now it's this. So this is good. This adds that little extra bit of information that gets you a very clear overview and gets you that 7 or possibly 8 for organization in your writing task. Now, I've started with the north. Now, again, this is going to be a bit different from the graph analysis. You're not necessarily having trend followed by data. So as I said, in a way, it's a little bit easier than the data tasks, but you still want to be careful with how you organize it. So I've started with in the north, and I've focused on this main point, is that 2 new roads were created. So here you just have one road going straight south. Now you've got these 2 extra roads, and I've highlighted that. 2 new roads were created, both of which splinter off from the main road. So again, they come from this part of the road here. Let's maybe get some space there. The eastern facing road replacing old farmland. So then I've pointed out that this used to be farmland. Now we've got resident. The old shops were demolished to make way for the western facing road. Both roads allow access to a number of new houses. So again, I've pointed out that you've got 2 new roads. Both of them are now full of houses. So they've become less arable, less farmland, and more for people's homes. So it's a key point here as well, right? You mention the eastern road and the western road. Now, good cohesion. Both roads allow access to a number of new houses. Remember, you want some of those words like next, finally, therefore, all those good linking words, but also this type of cohesion where you're referencing that these 2 roads that you've already mentioned, and then you mention them here in this last sentence, and you connect it with this word. That's equally important. Remember, if you want those higher scores in the IELTS exam, you need to have control not just of connecting language, but also this less predictable connective language, the kind of stuff you can't memorize for the test. So something really important to pay attention to. Now, moving on, I've gone to the center of the town, where we've got the primary school. Towards the center of the town, the primary school remained, although it was extended. All right, so I've pointed out that you have this smaller building here, and now it's been expanded. To the southwest of the school, so I've gone over here, a new road was constructed that reaches close to the river. So I've talked about this part here and over here. A new road was constructed that reaches close to the river. Okay, so I point that out. This road, very key point again, right? I mention a new road here, and then I connect it to the next sentence. This road provides access to a number of new properties. Again, supporting that main point that the area has become increasingly populated. So again, even down here in the body paragraph, I'm connecting it back to that main point up here. That's really important for you to pay attention to in this task. If there's no connection between your body paragraphs and this part up here, you're not getting the score that you want. To the east of this development is the retirement home. So I've mentioned this part here, which had previously been a large house and gardens. So I'm comparing this part here over here. So again, making comparisons where necessary. The retirement home had 2 new wings added to it. So I've pointed out that they've got these new parts here. The path leading to the large house was replaced by a road. And where the gardens once were, so the garden was here, a range of new houses were constructed. All right. A few of the old trees remain. So I mentioned, yes, some of the old trees are still here. So I've made all those comparisons pointing that out. Now, something I did talk about earlier, and it's important to talk about again, is remember, look up here, it's the year 2010. Now, that's clearly in the past, right? This is now 2016. It is 2010 here. So I'm using quite frequently the past tense. Now that's really important. It's past simple here. If this was 2016, I might say that the path leading to that house has been replaced by a road. And I might also say new houses have been constructed. Just something to keep in mind because sometimes they'll have the present year in some of these IELTS tasks. And again, it makes a difference if you're using the present simple the present perfect versus the past tense when appropriate. You're showing that you understand the subtle differences in those verb forms and how they're used. Finally, to the south, so we're down here at the bottom of the map now. To the south, area that had previously been farmland, again, as you can see over here, you've got farmland, was converted to residential use. You see all these houses. Both sides of the street were lined with new homes. Again, if we're in 2016, have been lined with new homes. Just a little difference to point out to you. So this one's a little bit different. You don't need to worry as much about getting the overall trends. You might point out that, this is more residential than it was, but you've made that very clear here that everything has become more residential. So it would be repetitive to keep saying, the area became more residential because you've established that at the beginning. And so, yeah, each section of the map has shown an increase in residential areas. Anyway, that's a good example of how you could organize and execute your task 1 when you have these map changing tasks. Now, just to go over a few final notes here, the main point I'm just going to point out here is grammar. If you're talking about 2010, then yes, you're going to say areas that had previously been farmland, an area was converted to residential use. If you're talking about 2016, right, or the present, you'll say has been converted. That's just something to keep in mind when you're practicing. Get some feedback from your teacher or from someone who's giving you help with your writing. And that's really important. Get that feedback. Ask those questions. And just a general tip about these map tasks, a lot of times they're showing the change in land use or change in population size. So it's something you want to keep in mind. Maybe something has been expanded to take care of more people. Say it's a map of a school or a map of a city. They're usually showing that it's an increase in population. So there might be, if it's a city, there might be more shopping centers to help those people, or new power plants to provide enough energy. Those are the kinds of trends you're looking for. So again, remember, these tasks can be a little bit easier, but you really don't want to miss those small points. So make sure you point them out. And of course, as always, practice, practice, practice. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments section. Otherwise, good luck with your IELTS Task 1.